Oh, is this deck just bad? Uh, okay, wait, what up? We have surely we have to be good in something else, right? Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're gonna be playing some Lyath. So I actually kind of have a little bit of like a charcuterie board of Lyath decks. I don't actually know which one I'm gonna start with because I'm brand new to the hero. I've like seen some Lyath deck lists. Like I've played against the hero before, but I've never actually like delved in to try to play it myself. So I actually asked Capamello on the Discord to see if they have any like Lyath decks that they can give me to kind of like show, I guess, like what the deck lists kind of look like and kind of like give me some examples of each. So it seems like there's like a lot of varied game plans between Lyath deck lists. So this first one I think is from Temper EU or something. So I think this is like from a Rotterdam tournament, and this was like a more kind of like fatigue oriented deck list. So I've seen a lot of fatigue Goliath around, and I think an important question to ask yourself when you're playing like a fatigue deck is like, what are you gaining in terms of like equity over like the other fatigue decks? So like, there's like fatigue Victor, which is like a very real deck. There's like Huntsman, which I think is like kind of actually gone down in popularity, oddly enough, just because like Victor has like a very interesting kind of end game. So the question is like, why are we playing Goliath over those decks? And I feel like I don't really have a very solid answer. It kind of just seems like it's like a worse version of Victor. I could be wrong. But I don't really want to go the fatigue route because it seems like it's maybe not as like it seems like there's maybe just better fatigue decks out there. So I also have like kind of like a more mid-rangey Goliath. So this is kind of like doing like some kind of like value trading. So I think this is just from like someone on Purple Discord. But it's kind of like got at least it looks like kind of like a more mid-range game plan, like just kind of playing out like some value cards, trying to set up for good turns, and then maybe some like sideboard options, basically. I think this deck list is also interesting. And then finally we have like more aggro slanted variants. So I think this one's from like Nathan Crawford or someone adjacent to Nathan Crawford or something like that. But it looks like in this list he's doing like a very aggro kind of game plan, right? Running like the Bad Breath, like the Edge of the Seas, like a lot of like the Aura package and trying to be just as aggressive as possible. And then also just running like it looks like some kind of like anti-fatigue cards in the form of like arrogant showboating, and then just whichever attacks kind of make the most sense per matchup. So I think there's some interesting life builds out there, and I think these all have like their own various like metas they're maybe better into or worse into, and their own like pros and cons and stuff. But the deck list I actually want to try today is Capomello's personal deck list. So we're going to be playing that today. So this is Capello's deck list, and this was based on I think another player's deck list. So that I think it's copied from like JAAP. I don't exactly know how to pronounce that. But anyways, I think this was like the deck list that Capamelo was basically basing their deck list on. It's running like Fiddler's Green on the side, some like a sadistic scale bully tactics for me, like anti-fatigue package, and then just like trying to do like the value Lyath kind of game plan and stuff like that. So I think Capamel modified some of the cards slightly. Like it looks like we're on maybe like less auras and more like bad breath and stuff, and then also doing like tension in the air and some other stuff. So I kind of want to just try out Capamel's deck list because I think they have been playing the most Lyath. But I think there's a lot of like options in Lyath decks right now. So I don't really know as a new Lyath player like which one's supposed to be like the better or worse or whatever. We're just gonna try it today, have some fun, and kind of just see how it goes. Again, I have like very low expectations for this video. Like I'd be very happy if we won a game because we're playing a new deck and obviously things are very new. So I feel like the power of Lyath is maybe trying to do like these kind of like anti-blocking kind of strategies, like we're trying to like intimidate on your turn to try and make your opponent's blocks a bit rougher. So I feel like that's kind of appealing to me as someone who is very aware, I guess, of like the fatiguey nature of the meta right now with like fatigue Victor around, and also just like other decks that are kind of trying to like counter fatigue Victor. Like it feels like there's a lot of fatigue kind of running around. So I feel like if you have like a decent game plan in fatigue, then it could actually be really good. Now, whether or not Lyath actually has game into fatigue is maybe another question. But yeah, we're going to see how good Lyath's basically anti-fatigue plan is, because I think that's going to be the biggest question for this deck is whether or not you can actually like beat decks that just want to block every single turn. I think that's the biggest issue. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and give Capomel's list a try and just kind of see how it goes. So let's go ahead and get into the games. All right, playing against a Marionette. So this should be at least a kind of trial by fire. I think Fiddler's Green makes a fair bit of sense, and then I guess the question is, do we want to follow up with anything else? I know some marionettes can board fatigue, which is like a little concerning. And I guess the question is like, do we want to cut anything? I don't really know what the flex slots on in this list, but I kind of can maybe guess. So maybe we can cut like, actually, I don't know if you can cut release. Maybe we can also just fat deck like a little bit. I think when in doubt and you don't know what to cut, fat decking slightly is probably not going to hurt you too bad. I feel like especially in a deck like Lyath, where it's like you don't need to necessarily draw like your power cards. Or, I mean, there are powerful cards, but like a lot of the card quality is like fairly similar at least. It seems like they're on a clean 60 though, which is good info. I guess the question is, do we want to actually like overblock this at all? They are pitching a blue, so they could have like a dagger buff here. Maybe we can like lean into like double blocking. I think that's semi-reasonable. We also have the sigil for gaining a little bit of value on the back end as well. All right, and then I think here, let's go ahead and give like the escalate and then just hold open like rampart in case we need it. I think that seems fine. They go for the flick, and I think what we can do is actually play the concealed object end of turn, right? When this enters the arena, the crowd boos you. Instant target attack at the beginning of your end phase. Destroy. So this will destroy at the start of our turn. So we're basically going to get like 2 value out of playing it, assuming that they just want to like pass here. But starting the game at 45 with an additional 2 value on board, definitely not too shabby here. Could obviously follow up with something, but I kind of doubt it, given that they probably want to just get the mark set up. All right, trapdoor is annoying, but we can probably deal with that. So what is going to be our play here? We have the booze, which is pretty good. We'll reset the might. The only issue is that our concealed object is like a little awkward. What we could do is actually concealed object on our Titan's Fist, and because actually that would actually pump it to inertia trap range, which is like a little awkward. Huh, interesting. So I guess we can still just go for the Titan's Fist anyways and kind of just see what they do. I think that seems somewhat reasonable. I guess let's actually play the booze first. No, we actually want to save the... No. I think we want to pitch this for the booze, right? So play the booze. We get our fight token online. And then I think we pitch the bad breath here so that the Titan's Fist is only coming in for phase 3. Which means that inertia trap is not going to trigger here. And I think I'm not even supposed to get greedy here and pump with the concealed object. See if they have a react here first. Okay, so there's the inertia, which makes sense. So we should be dodging the inertia here. Oh wait, we're not dodging the inertia? Oh wait, it's yes, the base power is halved. Okay. We've made a slight mistake, but that's fine. That's more so me not playing on enough live to know actually how that works. Okay, so because the base power is halved, this is technically higher than the base power. Okay, I see why the inertia token is getting made. That makes a fair bit of sense. I thought for some reason it only counted Lyath like was modifying the base power, but no, I think Lyath actually like changes the base power basically. Okay, we got a Saber Bloodshed, that's terrifying. But no really good way to stop it. Could just go ahead and give them the Two-Face though, and just try to take the best card out of their hand. Could do like Two-Face plus the Attention Grabbers, and then our next hand's actually like kind of okay. And I think I don't actually mind that. Let's go ahead and maybe just cash in a little bit of our value here. For my couple practice games, it's surprisingly kind of hard to use Attention Grabbers. So I feel like if we do get an opportunity where we can get the 3 value, I think that's like pretty reasonable. Now we get to take the best card in their hand here, which would be probably the Codex, right? They don't technically have a attack that they can put into Arsenal just yet, but I think it's probably still just the safest bet. What they can do is like play the attack, close chain, like give it go again, all that fun stuff. So might as well just take it there. You still have to be a little bit concerned about their meat madness, I guess. All right, but they're probably just going to get in with the Arachne Red back and then probably force through the meat madness afterwards. I don't think we're going to block. I think we're going to take like the 1 in 3 chance that they whiff on it, basically. Okay, and they might not even actually play it here unless they want to. Yeah, they maybe just want to discard it to go full 13. I guess that's also fair. Still feel like taking the Codex there was actually like a pretty big deal for us. And the only question now is like, do we want to play out the tension right now? I think we're gonna wait on the tension. It kind of pairs nicely with the Razor here. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards that. Let's go for Minnowism to fix the match. Then we can kind of choose either to Razor or to do something else. Now the question, I guess, is like, what do we even want to get on top? Because the chances of them blocking this are like pretty low. I guess we're still just like always supposed to do this. But we can go. I guess Tension plus Razor does kind of fit the curve nicely here. Sending it for 13 seems still pretty good. We do still have like kind of like 5-ish value kind of left on board, so not too bad. There's another cut. The biggest question is like, are we actually able to race Marionette, which I'm not 100% confident that we're able to do, but we're gonna give it a shot. So Goon Beatdown would give us an extra might token if we hit with it. So let's try to map out, I guess, our next hand. So we probably want to. We want to play this, pitch this like Arsenal. Not really a great Arsenal target. I guess like power play is probably the Arsenal target, right? So we like can like boo to use like the extra one floating from the tension, and that generates like an additional might token. I guess there's no real reason to block this just yet, though. See what they do afterwards. So coming in for 8 total. Seems fine, as long as they don't have like a Codex follow-up or something. They did snipe their one Codex, which I think was at least pretty good for us. Okay, no second Codex is nice. Sure. So they are funnel web now, which does kind of put a bit of a damper on our plans. We could also just like use our snaps to send a Titan's Fist, so we're not keeping an arsenal, which is like maybe gonna be the play, but I also don't love that. Let's go for the Goon Beatdown though. See how this ends up working out. I think we are probably gonna snaps this just so we can get some damage in. And like keeping an arsenal here is not necessarily very good. Again, we're kind of learning a new deck here, so like I might be making some obvious mistakes. That's always fine. Like learning a new deck is always valuable. Okay, they are blocking, which is actually quite nice for us. So we can now. And now I guess we have a couple choices. So we could try to set up the arsenal and like use Tunic to Lyath. But is that like actually like a good usage of Tunic? I don't know that it is. Interesting decision point. Let's go ahead and maybe. This feels like a weak snaps, but I don't really know what else I'm supposed to be doing. And it like kind of makes sense to me to go off on Arsenal when they flip into Funnel Web. If they like didn't flip Funnel Web, then maybe my play is supposed to be different. Now the only question is like, am I supposed to pop Tunic to just generate one value? I feel like the answer is probably no, right? Like I feel like Tunic maybe is better than that. So we'll get another tension in the air kind of set up and just clear our arsenal so they can't just blow it up. I feel like this deck doesn't block particularly well is a kind of important note. But actually, what we could do here is block with all of these and then pull Tunic to Rampart. They can funnel web notably, but that's not going to like trigger anything. It would just give them another like dagger hit. Seems relatively fine. I think I'm like kind of okay blocking this. And then we can probably like fix the match, do something cute afterwards. I do like seeing them just use it on in the backside's kind of low-ish value. Maybe that was also kind of like a weak usage of Tunic. Ooh, Death Touch to finish it up. Okay. Spicy. So now we have to be a little bit careful about them giving us like an inertia token or something. So I guess we just do this and like clear our arsenal again. Might even end up just like paying for blood rot or something. I think that seems somewhat reasonable. And we are still taking a lot of damage here. We go to 12 and then maybe just give us like a blood rot, be my guess. Okay, yeah, that tracks. Oh, I guess we are gaining. I did forget about the 6 life gain from the Fiddler's Green, so those are definitely a bit helpful. Let's go ahead and fix the match and then just kind of see what happens. So we'll grab our overturn, which should be on the bottom. Imagine this is probably gonna be no blocks, but they might have like a D-react that they like have to block with or something. Anything is possible. We haven't really actually seen many reacts out of them. They could also just be boarding into like a very aggro package or something. And then let's go ahead and pay for the blood rot. I guess it's like 2 value regardless ish. But it's like a slow 2 value versus like a fast 2 value. Oh, and then what does this hand want to do? Probably just short shrift and then try to set up cut for like a good arsenal. Interesting. I think I'm supposed to leave them hanging now, right? Just in case they are able to like play anything in response. Should be mildly annoying in case they have like a better, like if we like snipe a codex out of their hand and they can't use like the stalker steps effectively or something. I think that seems fine. Let's go ahead and pass priority and see what they do. This feels like it was maybe awkward for them. Doesn't seem like a optimal necessarily Marionette turn. Could be wrong though. We have a nice play in the Minnowism plus the short shrift and then set up the cut for an arsenal. Worst case scenario, if they like inertia trap us again, then we can just also just pitch it to Lyath, which is not completely lost value, I guess. But the short shrift should be doing some work here, unless of course they do have like react or something. What is this card they're blocking with? They're blocking with like Tunic plus card, and like D-react or something? Huh. Interesting. Okay, they have another under the trapdoor, which is going to buy back the inertia. Okay, so we do actually get to make the play that I said we were going to potentially make. It's kind of neat. Yes, I did think a little bit ahead on that one. Not saying that this is particularly good or anything, but it is at least a play that we are capable of making. And then I think we're going to leave them hanging so that they can't actually Callister us this turn, right? It has to be the play. And then we can't play the 2 steps ahead next turn because we need to swing to get the value out of our mites. So we're going to go ahead and just pitch that now. This should be a pretty huge value loss from them if they're not able to like also Callister this turn. And then this is not buffing the leave no, which is also fantastic. So I think we're just going to take the L on this one, and then our play is probably just going to be to pitch Terra Center to Titan's Fist, and then, or no, I think we're going to Arsenal Terra Center, pitch the Imposing to Titan's Fist, and then like maybe set the Terra Center and Arsenal, play Sigil. Okay, see the lines again. It's a new deck, new things to learn. I don't know. It's always hard to pick up a new deck for the first time. I do like that we did get rid of their Tunic though, which is a pretty big deal. So let's go ahead and pitch the Imposing. Might not, unfortunately, have enough time to actually play the Terra Sunder is like my biggest concern. And its deck does not block particularly well, so if they have like a big T-Tox turn, we could be in a bit of danger. Oh, another Sigil is quite helpful though if we don't want to be like actively blocking. Little bit awkward also with the Razor though. I think there's some parts of this hand that could be going better. Ooh, Kiss also pretty nasty. We might just be dead here. This is tough. Okay. So we can... The Bad Breath and the Razor Reflex are not doing us many favors. I feel like we also just like did not see these very early. So we have 3 life gain here, but this is coming in for effectively 9 plus another 2 from the flip. So we have to like end up blocking at some point this turn, right? The only question is kind of when. And this is assuming that like again, we have to also play around T-Tox, which is the biggest issue. Yeah, so I think we're maybe just supposed to cash in the value and try to hold on to the blues. No, that also doesn't really work. This is a little bit of a blocking puzzle, I feel like. Because we want to like try to get the value on the Terrace Under at some point. But maybe we just like can't afford to do so. We could also maybe just lean into the full block and just like make them have something. I feel like regardless, we're gonna have to probably give them T-Tox value anyways here, and they have not used a single copy, which is concerning. All right, so almost assuredly we're getting T-Toxed here. We kind of have to play into it, fortunately. All right, Stalker Steps, interesting. So I will go ahead and Lyath here, but not seeing a T-Tox here is quite nice. Oh, also we pitched our blue, so we're not gonna be able to use the mites this turn. Might just be dead anyways, but I'm kind of I think I definitely punted here, but I want to see exactly like how they kill us, because I wonder if we actually do end up living there if I keep a blue. So this is going to be dealing another 5. Yeah, that's pretty good. They might have even been dead. They flicked that, and then the pain also would get. I don't think there was actually. Was there a way to actually survive this turn? Oh, maybe it involves like. I guess we can still like sigil here to stay alive. Like this is still basically threatening lethal. Oh, interesting that they also didn't target dagger control. They could have actually done it on the Kiss of Death, couldn't they? Do so? Oh. I'm wondering if there's actually like a world in which we were able to send damage against them this turn. I don't think there was. At least not like I think with that hands we had so many 2 blocks that like we weren't able to block this. Okay, I think that's fair and square. I guess actually I think we're exactly 1 off of being able to live. Uh, okay. Um, I still don't think we live this, right? Um, oh, I'd like preferred it. Okay. All right. Do these 2, then die. I think we were like kind of close to being alive there, but just not quite. So I feel like this is actually like a matchup I'm like mildly concerned about. Like, I feel a little like maybe what they're doing. Like a lot of the decks that I think are kind of interesting right now, it's like why would I play this deck over like Marionette, right? And I think there are some like powerful things this deck does, like the kind of like leave them hangings, like setting up like the big like kind of board states on turn 1. A lot of the time you're just like kind of finding like these very mid hands, and then your opponent sends like how much damage was it last turn? Like 20 something damage or something. And then you're kind of like just stuck wondering like, wait, why am I not playing the deck that like doesn't require any setup to deal 20 damage? But anyways, at least that was kind of like an informative first game, at least on camera. I think we did like fairly okay for maybe being a little bit newer to the deck. All right, let's try to get a couple more and see how it goes. All right, playing against a Victor. Let's see if I can kind of redeem myself here. So I don't know what the Victor sideboard is, but let's see if we can try our best to kind of cover it here. So I feel like maybe cut a long story short is like a cut for like the walk in the shoes. That seems like the obvious kind of swap to me. Then like my gut feeling is we're maybe supposed to bring in like 63 and kind of assume they're going to go more of the fatigue route. So let's try it one more time and see if we can get the win here. Again, obviously they are maybe like this is somewhat of a favored matchup. We can actually kind of look at the data and see. I'm kind of curious. Let me look at like the Talishar data and just start there, because I feel like that's maybe indicative of how I'm playing at least. And then we kind of also just play out the leave them hanging this turn. Not a terrible idea. It looks like they are playing like more of a fatigue slanted Victor. Huh, interesting. I think let's go for it just so we can like take the best card out of their hand. Seems reasonable. All right, so let's look at the Fabry data for Lyath and see like what are my good and bad matchups supposed to be. So if I go to stats, meta results, and we take a look at Lyath. How are we doing, Lyath? We're at like a 43% win rate, which is not great. Okay, we are actually 29% into Victor. So wait, what is this deck good into? Apparently we're supposed to be good into Vincent, Acilio, and Levia are all the positive win rates. Is that it? Oh, is this deck just bad? Okay, wait, what we have, surely we have to be good in something else, right? All right, we're good into Bravo, Betsy, Azuri, and that's about it. Okay. Sure. We'll go ahead and sigil here. But that maybe explains a little bit here. So 29% win rate into Victor seems pretty. This could also just be a pretty difficult deck to pilot, which I've also heard a fair bit of. I think that's also a pretty reasonable assumption. And then what do we want to do here? So we do like Cruel Ambition. Set up some mites here. I think I want to try to Arsenal to leave them hanging, right? So maybe we just try to go for like Walk in My Shoes plus Concealed Object, and then maybe use Lyath to make some mites. I think that seems reasonable. I don't know if I'm like also somehow like trying to find like the worst lines possible. Maybe that's also part of the problem. Midas touch block seems reasonable as well. Yeah, let's try to just go for a setup turn here. I mean, we're gonna be setting up like what 5 might tokens or something. Seems pretty good. I think maybe we also want to like try to pitch stack the bad breaths kind of next to each other so that like we can eventually do like a quad intimidate or something like that. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to be using this card. I've just been like using it wrong, just like trying to play like one at a time. Right, they do also get the riches draw, kind of gross. Seems pretty alright. For what it's worth, I guess we could have tried to go for like the intimidate to snipe the riches, but I don't think that actually like solves the problem. Seems like it maybe just kind of delays the inevitable. Like they're gonna be able to probably pitch riches at any point during their next turn, assuming that they like shield beater it or whatever. All right, Remembrance not particularly opportune timing, but could be okay. And then another Remembrance. Okay, gotta love Fab sometimes with the. Honestly, this card should probably unfortunately be banned. I do actually think that this card is like pretty fair in some heroes, but like kind of feels like it's like created this weird like kind of toxic meta problem. I don't know. Maybe it's not that toxic. Maybe I'm also just like overreacting. Let's go ahead and just play out the leave the main. It's a little bit unfortunate that we don't get to like time it or anything, but better than losing it, obviously. And then we could also take the leave them hanging off so that we can send the battered, but that still doesn't give us like all the might tokens we need. We could terrace under the battered. There's also reasonable. We'd be sending like a decent amount of damage. Let's try catching at least the attention grabbers here, just so we have like all these popping kind of at the same time. That seems reasonable. We might actually just need to pitch the Terra Center here. Oh no, the Terra Center doesn't even work on the battered, right? So was that a bad play? Maybe. We still at least get the Intimidate off, which could be fine. Oh man, is this deck just bad? I didn't think the deck was this bad. This deck seems like, at least based on, okay, so let me actually look at like tournament results for Lyath, because that's actually maybe going to tell a better story. I'm deeply curious as to like how this deck is actually doing right now, because I didn't know it was like this rough. Hold on, let me see. We look at like calling Yokohama. Were there any Lyaths around? So Lyath had, it looks like, a 12.5% win rate in Yokohama. Let's see, actually, like, we do like last couple months or so. Interesting. Okay, let's see what their play is here. So you get the Intimidate off. Yeah, makes sense. I guess we can just still Lyath here. Getting like a fair bit of cards out of them, which is at least kind of nice. So if that Intimidate was mildly annoying, then it could be okay. Oh, and they also get to snipe us with the high current currency. So let's actually look at some other. Like, can we look at Pro Tour Yokohama? I guess that also probably wouldn't. I thought like a 40% win rate. Yeah, this deck does not seem particularly good. Okay. High current currency resolving. Nice. Wish that could be me, but unfortunately it is not. So I guess we're probably just hanging out on the Terra Center for a little bit. So let's go ahead and I guess. Oh, also these razors are like. This deck can't be that bad, right? Almost assuredly. Maybe it is that bad. But we can at least like tutor it 2 steps ahead here and just take like a little bit of a setup turn. This is brutal. I didn't think it was this bad. On me, I thought this was like a B tier deck, and maybe it is, and maybe I'm also just like not playing it correctly. But like, this feels like uphill. So let me take a look at some like other tournaments, like Shanghai. Was anyone playing Lyath in Shanghai? Here, let me just select all of the top 5 recent tournaments and see how's Lyath been doing. Uh, um, so Lyath has like a 20% win rate over 26 matches. Yeesh. Okay. Fascinating. Well, I guess the more we know, right? Sure. The bad breaths are lining up here, which could be kind of nice. That's obviously assuming they don't have any like disruption as well. Another high current currency, A. Good. So how do we win against a pile of 5 gold? I don't think that we can. So I think we lose. I guess we can go for Terra Center. I think I'm like actually just supposed to. I like. How do we actually beat this deck? I don't think we can. I guess we'll try it and just see how it goes. But I have concerns. Like, are we not supposed to play out the bad breaths and just supposed to like pitch deck them or something? Or are we supposed to play them out and just like be super aggressive? I don't know. I guess if we had like the best intimidates of all time, then maybe this is good. But like, we need to get very lucky here. Even then, they still just have like a huge bridge that they can kind of just throw in front of this. Actually, how's our Marionette win percentage looking like? Take a look at that, because that's actually, oh, we're like 0% in the Marionette. But like, that could also just be like a deck building problem. At least we might be making a lot of might tokens here. Okay, just kidding. Yep. Good. Seems good. Okay, so I'm like pretty confident we can actually win this. So we'll see what our next is. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just scoop this one up. Okay. I think this deck is just maybe bad. So how are we ever gonna beat this Victor opponent? I don't think that we could. Unless we like string together like multiple huge intimidate turns and they somehow like just draw bricks. Like, is this actually like a winnable matchup? I don't think it is. Like, it feels like there's not enough like intimidate in this particular deck for maybe like doing that. Like, if we take a look at some of the other like decks, like, could we maybe do it with this one? Like, this one also seems like maybe you could do it with like the bully tactics or something. We could also take a look at like Nathan Crawford's list and like maybe this deck list does it a little bit better, but like this deck list also has like a similar issue, I feel like. And then this is what else's list, I guess, with these spew obscenities and stuff. Yeah, I feel like I just don't understand. Someone needs to like send me a list and then like I'll figure out how to play this deck. But like for now, I don't see like a super compelling reason why you would play this over Victor. That's my biggest problem. Like, so we have like the two or three top decks in the meta right now are like Acilio, Victor, Marionette, right? If you like Marionette, the Marionette game felt like relatively close. Like maybe it could have played a bit tighter, but like the Victor game felt like borderline impossible. And maybe that's just also like the way the meta is like turning like very fatigue oriented. Probably is like not a great thing for Lyath, but like it feels like if you're playing Lyath as a fatigue deck, you're probably just supposed to play Victor instead. And then if you're playing it as like an aggro deck, you can't beat the Victor. So like why not just play Victor? I guess is like the ultimate question. Okay, so someone just tell me how to play this deck at some point. Again, I am not an Lyath expert. Maybe it's not as bad as it like initially looks, but like for now, this deck like actually doesn't seem like it's all that playable, which is kind of depressing. But maybe it's not as bad as I'm like making it out to be. Like this deck is like probably one of the rougher ones that I've like tried to play like an actual like concretely defined list, and it still just like has not kind of come to fruition. All right, but anyways, that was me stumbling through Lyath again. I think this deck list is maybe like it seems like there's a lot of problems going on. It seems like what the deck list is doing is not as powerful as like what some of the other decks in the format are doing. It also just feels like the deck is also like very hard to pilot and draws like these very weird bricky hands. Again, I'm not a Lyath expert. Like maybe it's a lot better than I'm giving it credit for, but initial impressions are like why am I playing this deck over like just an easier deck to play? I guess is the main criticism I have. But if we have any Lyath experts in chat, use this video as like bait for telling me in the comments where I misplayed. Feel free to do that. But like also just like tell me like what Lyath's like meta position is and like what I'm actually supposed to be doing with this deck, because it feels like there's maybe just like I feel like this deck list actually seems like pretty good, at least like to my untrained eyes. Like this deck list feels very clean to me, but like I still don't know like how I'm actually supposed to be like piloting the deck. Maybe that's like the biggest kind of question I have. But anyways, thank you Capomello for the deck list. Again, I probably piloted this also like quite poorly, but maybe the deck list is also just, or maybe the heroes I guess I was playing into were also just a little bit rough or something. But yeah, I think this deck list was also inspired by JAAP, so I think their deck list is also here somewhere. I think it's this one. So I think this deck list also seems like pretty good. So like very similar deck list, I think, to Capomello's. But yeah, I think Lyath still has like a little bit of work to do to kind of like figure out what the deck list is, and maybe there will be like a very like high performing Lyath deck list at some point, but at least I'm not seeing it right away. I think it just struggles too much into some of the top decks to like maybe be worth it, but there is definitely some like power here. It's just maybe waiting for the right meta. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and apologies for the stumbling and complaining, I guess. But yeah, we'll see y'all next time when we play a good hero like Marlon, obviously. But yeah, catch you all later. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.